All right, my lovelies, we are back with another frequently asked question. This one is fun because it can really depend, but I'm going to give you my general answer to this. Should I use a photo on the cover or within my memoir? Should I use pictures? How many of your pictures should you use? When, where, how, whether? That's what today's video is about, photographs. And because you're writing a true story, you most likely have some pictures that can go along with it. Fiction, on the other hand, typically doesn't have, if you're reading a novel, it will typically not have those illustrations or photographs to go with, right? I think the beauty of fiction, and when they do it well, is that you are able to create a picture in your mind. And for me, sometimes that gets ruined with movies. For example, the Jack Reacher movies. Tom Cruise ruined Jack Reacher for me because in my head, when I read those books, Jack Reacher looked nothing like Tom Cruise, but I digress. So let's talk about this. Should you use pictures in your memoir? I want to tell you that the general answer I'm going to give is, besides it depends, is no, you should not. There is a little caveat, so just bear with me. But I want you to think about it like this. Number one, you should be writing in a way that is descriptive enough for the readers to create those mental images. So you should be describing people, places, yourself. You should be describing how things look and feel using your senses. And so readers should be able to visualize what that really looks like. But even more important than that, even if your writing is descriptive enough, you can say like, yes, but there are some pictures that would go really well, or they would illustrate this point. The biggest concern is that when you write a memoir, you're writing your story. But as you will hear me say over and over, this memoir, this story you're writing is not just about you, and it's not just for you. It's for your readers. So when you insert your pictures and put a picture of yourself on the cover, these strangers who are your readers are going to be like, who is this girl? We don't even, we don't know her. The picture doesn't have any meaning attached to it. So it becomes like a me show, like you are just making it about yourself. And in the industry, in the book world, us editors and coaches and all of that, we call that like where you're not leaving room for the readers. You're not letting them experience your story in a way where it relates to their life, or they're gaining some inspiration or insights, or they're able to connect with you because you're being honest with them and open with them. You may be doing a really good job of that in your writing, but when you sprinkle in pictures here and there, or even on the cover sometimes, it takes away from that. And it's sort of like, me, like, look at me, here I am. That's not your intent, right? It's your book. You want your picture on the cover. That typically, the cover image is okay. It typically is not a huge detractor for book buyers, but you really do need to know your readers don't care. They really don't care who you are. They don't care about your pictures because they don't know you. If a random stranger walked up to you on the street and was like, do you want to see pictures of my childhood? You would maybe politely say yes, but other than that, you would be like, I don't have any interest in doing that. I don't know who you are. They don't mean anything to me. There's no connection there. There's just nothing that would interest you other than being a very polite person and just indulging this person, this random stranger. So unless your photos are very interesting or they feel like they're vital to your story, they really shouldn't be included in the story. I would make sure, if you feel like you are drawn, you're being pulled to insert pictures, get another opinion of someone that doesn't know you. Okay. Ask a beta reader, ask maybe someone in our group, ask me, ask another professional. Don't ask your family. They know you, they know the pictures, they know the experiences that they relate to. And what the question you should ask is, does this picture increase the value that I'm giving to my reader? there could be some exceptions. There's always exceptions, right? Obviously, famous people, their pictures, we want to see those, right? Like I read the story of Anthony Kiedis, the lead singer for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's a lunatic. There are so many crazy things he's done in his life, and to see the pictures of it sort of helps me feel like, wow, this is real. Like that really happened. What a crazy man. I can't believe he's not dead. The stuff he did. So in that case, it's like we already know him. He's a public figure. We care about him because, well, like I'm a fan of his music, so I care about this guy, or I've connected with him, already because of his music. So he's giving me a peek behind the curtains into his personal life. Famous people kind of have that dichotomy. They have this behind the curtains life and the public life, and all we really get to see are the public side of things. So if you are a public figure, this video is not for you. If you are not, I'm talking to you. So that's a little exception that probably doesn't apply to you. But another exception might be if you're writing maybe a travel memoir and you want to show pictures of these beautiful, amazing, memorable places. I don't think that adds a ton of value, but it doesn't make it a me show because you're not including pictures of you necessarily, right? You're including pictures of the places you visited, or maybe, the people you saw there, the experiences you had. I was taken back there to, you may have heard me talk about him in the group, but Henry Rollins is an old punk rocker back in the day, and he traveled around the world and took all of these amazing pictures and put them into a slideshow and came and presented, and I went to this live event, and he just talked about his pictures. The point is, the pictures were the story, right? That's how he illustrated the story. If your book is something like that, that's going to be an exception. But I'm kind of talking about the standard memoir that an unknown author will write. Unknown meaning you're not a famous person. So unless the picture feels like it adds a lot to the story, it probably doesn't belong. Again, the cover is probably going to be the only place that it works. But try to envision a design on your cover where it's not just like your face plastered. Maybe it's you in a certain setting, or this kind of sweet little baby picture, a type of like where people are like, oh, that's sweet, that's endearing. It's not just like your professional headshot, right? That just feels sort of salesy almost, like you are trying to put on your best face and pretend like this story is going to be something it's not, right? So obviously there needs to be a little bit of a connection to the book, but you still should try to feel into whether that cover picture has room for the reader and doesn't feel like a me show. So another way I've seen this done, and this is less common but it's more acceptable, is to maybe have a little collection of pictures in the back. I've edited books that have that feature. They're more of a family-only type of memoir, maybe almost more of an autobiography, not a standard common memoir, but inserting maybe a couple sheets of pictures in the back with little captions. Readers, by that point, will now care. If they've read to the end of your book, they care about the story. They're invested. They were engaged. You wrote descriptively. You wrote well. And it's not just like, here's a couple pictures of me sitting around. It's pictures that give us that inside glimpse into things that were kind of behind the scenes, right? The things that maybe you talked about, or the people you describe in your book, your family, or, maybe there's like one family member that was pivotal in your book. You're going to maybe show a picture of them. So it's a little collection in the back. If you want to talk logistics, sometimes they're like on glossy pages and in color. Sometimes they're not. It's just regular paper, black and white. Sometimes there's a real thick little collection there, and sometimes it's just a few pages. Otherwise, in a standard memoir, the best, or maybe the only advisable way to include a picture of yourself is your author bio, which you can also include on your back jacket if you really want, not the bio itself, but the picture, your little picture down in the corner. Because people do want to know who you are. Anytime I read a book, I read a book cover to cover because that's who I am. I read all the pages, even the boring ones. But anytime I've really enjoyed a book, I will go back to that author bio and I will study up on them. And then I'll go Google them. I stalked Anne Lamott, Mary Carr, all of the memoirists I want to be like, Elizabeth Gilbert. So we want to know about them because we enjoyed their book. We enjoyed their story. So absolutely put a picture back there. It can be fun. It can feel more professional. It could be something that's related to the story or not. That's a good place for your professional shoot. If you have a professional headshot, you put it back there. So those are a couple of considerations, but so overall it depends. When my clients ask me, should I do this? I typically want to know what pictures, where do you think they belong, and why? And those are kind of the questions I want you to ask yourself. What pictures do you think are relevant here? Why do you want to add them? For the reader's purpose, not for your purpose? What value do they give to the reader? Why would the reader care? Why would they care to see that picture if it doesn't add anything to the story, right? So ask yourself, why should the reader want to see this picture? What does it give to them? So feel into that. Again, if you have a travel memoir or something where you're a photographer and that's part of your journey, that's probably going to be much more relevant than another type of story. So it does depend, but kind of the general answer is no, thank you. Step away from it. Get a third party to weigh in here. I shouldn't say third party, but just, a neutral party. Someone who doesn't know you, someone who can give you that more professional or unbiased, neutral perspective on the actual picture and what they found interesting and what they liked about it or what they thought might be related to your book. So this is another great question for a beta reader. If you do go the beta reader route, you can include a picture and just say, I'm thinking about this one. What do you think? Or group of pictures or whatever. So I hope this was helpful. Of course, you may have questions. You may have particular pictures you thought that you were going to include, and I might have crushed your dreams. I hope this was not a dream crusher, but I want you to be realistic. My main mission is always to be speaking from the reader's perspective. I always hold space for the readers because it's very, very easy to lose sight of that when you're writing your own story. Even sharing my own personal tidbits and stories with you wonderful group ladies has opened my eyes to how I'm being perceived by the readers, by you, the readers. So it is not about crushing dreams here, okay? This is about me reflecting back to you how this is perceived in the market by the people that you want to read your book. You want them to buy it, you want them to enjoy it, and that this is part of that equation, okay? So let me know what questions you have, and we will chat more.